Welcome to Laguna Woods Stories. We're a little different format today. We have three guests instead of the usual one. And these are three people that you should know because they're very significant players here at Laguna Woods in many ways, but especially in a project called the Village Centenarian Project. We'll be getting to that a little bit. But first, let me introduce the players. And seated directly across from me is Mark Rabinovich. Did I say that right?
You were close enough.
Yeah, say it for us.
Rabinovich.
Rabinovich.
Halloween
okay.
at the end.
Okay.
Which?
Okay, Mark. And people here have seen your work and probably seen your name in the newspaper and that
probably.
sort of thing.
Yeah.
Also sometimes known as courtesy photo.
Yes.
But,
yes.
But they've probably not seen your face because your face is often covered up by this device in front of you. What do we have here?
We have a Nikon D850.
And very often we see the big black area in front of your face.
Yes, most folks don't know what I look like without it. Yeah.
And here's Mark without the camera in front of him. Mark, your career was in sales, as I remember.
Correct.
Has nothing to do with photography.
Not a thing.
So how did you get interested in the whole field of photography?
When I was, like many of us, when I was a kid, I used to play around with a camera, got into sales and started traveling the country and couldn't mess with a camera anymore.
And,
when I retired, first place I went to was the camera club here, and I picked it back up.
And you ended up being president of the camera club for
I sure did.
Quite a few years.
I'm still on the board. It's been 9 years now.
9 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
we appreciate your work, and we'll be talking a little bit about what you're doing with the Village Centenarian Project in just a few minutes.
Wonderful.
But any still image that you see is something that Mark has done. And sitting right next to Mark is Lucy Parker. And Lucy is a colleague here in the video club and a past president.
That's true.
Of the
yes.
video club. And I happen to know that your career was in the field of public relations.
That's true. Communications, corporate communications.
And one of your places of employment was Chapman University.
That's true, for quite a few years.
And Chapman pulled a rabbit out of a hat, so to speak, in transforming itself from a little-known kind of denominational college to certainly one of the most prestigious colleges in Orange County.
Yeah. And they didn't even have a film school when I was there, but
they certainly do now.
They do now, yeah.
And you had a lot to do with all it takes to make that happen. Without PR, without advertising, nothing happens, right?
Well, we like to think that, yeah. No,
Right.
It was. They had the concept back in the day I was there, but it's been realized now under Jim Doty and some other leaders.
And currently, you do PR for the video club.
I do.
And again, at the video club, nothing would happen if we didn't see your frequent reminders, emails, and stories in the Globe and all of that. We appreciate the constant work that you're doing to.
Well, it's a great club.
Club.
Like Mark, I had worked with communications all my life, but not with video. Still photography, print. And so it wasn't until I retired that I was able to get into video, and that's thanks to the video club, so I do appreciate that.
Sitting to my immediate right is Betsy Martin. And Betsy, if I were to ask you career-wise what floats your boat, it would be...
Water. That's right. Literally.
Literally,
I was in the water purification business for 30 years.
Uh-huh.
It was a very exciting career. And then I taught junior college, mostly men who work in the field for the cities, doing water distribution.
Now, water is free because it falls out of the sky, but it's not free collecting it and distributing it and all of that. So what part of this whole water business did you do?
Orange County Water District has percolation basins, and we take the water that comes down the Santa Ana River and soak it into the ground, create groundwater from which the cities pull, and then the water district maintains the quality and the quantity of it. And I was working in taking secondary treated wastewater, making it into drinkable water, so that we could also add to the underground water.
Okay. And since you've retired and shown up here in Laguna Woods Village, what floats your boat here?
Several things. The video club was very attractive to me because when I just about finished my career, I was taping some instructional videos for other operators who could not attend these training classes on all the new equipment that we were learning. And I recorded it, but I didn't edit it. So I'm sure it was absolutely boring as heck. So I said, okay, I'm here, I'm going to learn how to edit stuff. So that's why I got here, and I love it.
And I know that for several years you have been, from time to time, doing a program called
Remarkable Lives.
Remarkable Lives about...
Well, I'm also very active in Concerned Citizens, social justice group for promoting good government, the environment, social justice, peace. And we featured some of the elder people in that group who have been around and have been very active in social issues, social causes all their lives.
And these are programs that have been seen on Laguna Woods' own village television.
I believe. I should check into that.
And, okay,
Yeah.
and other places
Yes.
as well. Well, we're here to talk about the Village Centenarian Project. I'm going to start with Lucy because I think you are the absolute prime mover on this. How did it happen that we got into this project, or what is it?
Well, it's we're photographing some of our centenarians. I and Mark and I both are members of the Thrive Task Force, which is kind of dedicated to showing, inspiring people to thrive here in the village. And not always, things are not always good, but if they're not good, there's a lot of support, and there's just so many opportunities to be vitally involved. And we were looking for things that would demonstrate that. And I happened to see online in the Czech Republic, a photographer named Jan Langer did a series, pretty much what we're doing now. He took contemporary pictures of some people who were over 100, there are 13 of them, and matched them with pictures of these people as young adults. And I said, we could do that. And I proposed that in May of 2017, I think, and everybody thought it was a good idea. And we couldn't have done it without Mark, because we had to have really good portraits. And so he said, yeah, he's on board.
Everybody thought it was a good idea for you to do.
Well, and I tried to do it, but and I respect this. The village just doesn't give out people's names. So that's confidential. So I went from office to office to office asking for lists of centenarians, thinking maybe we thought there were maybe 15, 20.
Maybe 20 at the
And
most.
finally, I was, after going to the IT and marketing communications and every place else, they sent me to recreation. And it turns out...
It turns out that... knowing somebody's age is confidential information.
Exactly,
so,
and as is their address and phone number and email and all that. So they couldn't give it to me, and they explained that. But they said, we will send them, give us a letter, and it went out over Brian Gruner's signature. We will send a letter and see if they want to participate. And this was early, during the summer, I think.
Yeah.
And so, lo and behold, there were about 78 of them.
So,
way more than we thought.
So we know that there are 78. We don't know the names, contact.
Well, I still
information
don't
from
have
them.
all those names and never will have, but
But
those
only
who
the
responded,
people who've gotten in touch with us.
some responded. We had about 5 or 6 who responded to that first letter, and then we've been beating the bushes. People who know, there's been some publicity on Channel 6 and on Village Television and elsewhere. Now in the Globe, some wonderful coverage.
Right.
So we now have 15 lined up, and we've shot, as of this morning, 11 of them.
Okay.
But what we were adding to what the Czech photographer did was a video interview, which we have the capability to do here. So that'll be a TV program with interviews of the centenarians.
But the original idea was stills. Is that
That was
right?
the original idea.
That was the original, that was the genesis of this whole thing. Yeah.
And talk to us a little bit, Mark, about what's involved in getting still photographs of these centenarians.
The hardest thing is posing them. Some of them are very hard of hearing. And so we've started, like today, we started to move their chairs instead of moving them. And then it's me finding the right shooting angle.
Now
to match the early photo.
we asked them to bring in a photo of themselves
Right.
taken at a younger age.
Right.
And they do that, and you
We try to pose them as close as we can to
so you take a picture of their photo.
Yes. Both them and their photos, so that when we finish the project, we will have an old photo of them when they were young and a new photo of them when they're seniors.
And what do you expect to do with these photographs that you're taking?
Well, kind of the same thing that the Czech fellow was doing, just making people aware of what we have here with regards to the population.
If you look at the two faces, it's mystical. It draws you in. One of the things that apparently Jan Langer stressed was, even though things are so different, 100 years later, 80, maybe 80 years, there's a lot that's the same. And you just look at their eyes, and
Right here.
it doesn't change.
Right here.
The hair color changes, but
The eyebrows tend to remain the same. The nose, the eyes, certainly their eyes are worn from use, but it's just something, right?
and you try to
front
get
of the face.
basically the same expression that they were showing, a big smile. Or,
Close to it.
That we try.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, we don't always succeed, but you can still see people.
Betsy, you have in front of you a newspaper. What's that about?
In the Globe, in March, mid-March, this month, the Globe featured three of the people we interviewed with their picture from their 20s and the present in the same pose that Mark just explained. There were quotes in here from various people, and it has inspired others to come forth and call me and suggest, my mom is 102, love for you to interview her. And I think it's given us great publicity for our project, for which I'm grateful.
So this was run both in the Globe and in the Register, actually, the
Yes.
same story.
Oh,
You didn't
great.
know that.
I didn't know that.
It went into the register
Yeah.
also.
Betsy has played just a key role.
my goodness.
The fact that she worked with these seniors, the very elderly people in their 90s, with the concerned citizens. She was the obvious person. We went right to her because we needed one person as a liaison between, and so she can tell you, she's called all of them, arranged transportation. Our interviewers always wanted to talk to them in advance, so she sets that up. We have 2 interviews. We can talk about that later. But
It's a pretty big deal, isn't it, bringing a 100-year-old person into our studio?
Yes, especially when they say, well, golly, I cannot make it on a Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. Because
they're too busy.
too busy. They're all too busy.
And it's not just doctor appointments. One is going to a jewelry class. Another one is going to the gym. I said, whoa, I better get off my behind and do what you're doing. They've been very inspirational. Yeah.
Well, yeah. Lucy, I know that that you have made a video we came across an article that basically suggests that attitude makes quite a difference in how well we age.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that and your video. We'll take a look at that.
Oh, good. Okay. Steve Carmen was a member of the task force too, the Thrive Task Force, and we were always looking for ways to show, especially some scientific proof. And this was an article from the Berkeley Wellness Letter about research at Yale, which they studied, it was a large sampling, over 4,000 seniors, and measured them by standard tests as to whether they had a positive or negative attitude toward aging. Mm-hmm. And at the start of the study, none of them had dementia, but and not very. There was a significant difference after 4 years of the positive versus the negative attitudes in the development of dementia. That was really quite striking. So I was very taken with that and thought I could turn that into what they call an explainer video. Mm-hmm. And I was also intrigued with a little thing called Doodly, where you've probably seen it, where the hand writes as the. Mm-hmm. So that's.
So we're going to take a look at your video, about 3 minutes, and it'll explain the concept well.
In 21st century America, some people think being old means being frail, helpless, and irrelevant. Studies of older people have actually linked exposure to negative stereotypes about aging with poorer mental and physical performance. Research has shown that, at least in the short term, even subtle differences in the way older people are treated, such as being spoken to very slowly or being patronized, can result in underperformance on cognitive tests. Now, a study from Yale University has looked at the topic from a different angle: how having positive attitudes about aging may help protect cognition in older people and even reduce the risk of dementia. The study involved 4,765 seniors, average age 72, whose attitudes and beliefs about aging had been evaluated using a standard test. At the start, all of the participants were free of dementia. Over the next 4 years, participants with positive attitudes about aging had a 2.6% risk of developing dementia, while the risk of dementia for those with negative attitudes about aging was 4.6%, nearly twice as high. How might positive age beliefs help reduce the risk of cognitive decline? The researchers hypothesized that such attitudes may buffer against the damaging effects of stress. But where do we get positive age beliefs? Attitudes about aging are largely shaped by our culture and life experience. Yes, the way we think about aging can be a self-fulfilling prophecy.
So, Lucy, the conclusion, I think, of this video is that attitude makes a huge difference.
Huge difference.
In how well we age, and especially the frequency of dementia among people who had a good attitude toward aging. Dementia only occurred about half as much.
And the researchers, as I say in the video, why would that be? And they hypothesize that it's because of less stress. We were able to show that video at the Health and Wellness Expo that was held last week in March, latter part of March, and I think there were about 900 people came to that thing, and we showed it at the Thrive table. So I was happy about that.
So revisiting the idea of Thrive, the idea really is to help people thrive by knowing what other people here are doing to thrive.
It's planting ideas in people's heads that maybe I can do that too.
Yeah. So we have a television show. We do different things. We're going to be doing some PSAs, public service announcements, on the idea of get off your behind and get out and do something, and you'll probably live longer and better.
Driving. Of all the people that we have interviewed so far, that to me, and it may be to the rest of us here, the main theme is I still like being here. Right?
Positive attitude.
Positive,
has-
yes.
I still like being.
It's still like being
That's part of it too.
a reason to get
But
up.
they haven't come up against I don't want to do this anymore. Life is still fun.
No,
And they want to be here, just like Betsy said.
They do. It's inspirational.
go ahead, I'm sorry.
Yeah. You know, when I look at these people and the enthusiasm they have for their life, their surroundings, their caregivers, their children, if the children have not predeceased them, which is sad and sometimes the case. And I think, do I want to live to be over 100? Sometimes I'm not sure. But so many of these people have pretty good health, and they love it.
To put it another way, we don't necessarily control how long we will live.
No.
But if I should happen to live to be 100, I would hope that I will be in my right mind and still enjoying life at that point.
Yeah.
So.
Lady last week told us all that she held up a hand and she said, State of California just gave me 5 more years on my driver's license. She was 102.
She drives and lives alone. There was a perfect example of that, we were just talking about today in today's interview. This lady has an 11-year-old great-granddaughter, and she's just so taken with this kid. She's talented and just bright, and she very involved in this child's life. And she says, I just hope I can stay a few more years to see her grow a little older. So that's the kind of thing that you're not living in the past, you're engaged in what's happening around you.
What have you all learned from your association with these centenarians?
The village and everybody I speak to about this project are in awe of these people. There's a reverence for age, and especially people who are very mentally with it, and even if they're not, we value their experience, their wisdom, and how they did it. So often it's healthy food, it's a good attitude, and they keep engaged. And these are lessons that we all want to hear and try to emulate.
What an amazing 100-year span these people have lived through.
That too.
Literally from horse and buggy to jet plane.
Rockets.
Horse and buggy to the moon.
Yeah.
To interstellar
I know,
adventure.
Yes.
Multiple wars, the internet, amazing.
Living receptacles of history, I guess, in a sense, that all the stories they can tell.
Yeah.
But that's all part of why we're doing this, is the history. Because when they're gone, we don't get it back.
Tell us a little bit more about when the project is complete, what will be the products that we hope to
Well,
produce?
Lucy and I have been talking about that, and that's still in the works, I would say.
Yeah, I think so. I see three parts to it. First of all, an exhibit of the pictures. Mark is going to, they'll be enlarged to, what, 16, 11 by 17, or mounted on,
A3s.
mounted.
So large
A beautiful prints.
enlargements of
And
prints.
that they will be exhibited, we hope it's some kind of an opening event, but then they'll be exhibited around the village
Around
for
the
a while.
village.
So that's one part. And the second part would be the TV broadcasts, and we have quite a bit of tape accumulated, so we don't know.
So-
it could be as many as maybe 3 half-hour programs of the interviews.
It'll be running on village television.
Would run on village television. And the third part then would hopefully be the website, and that's where we got the idea was from the web, from the Czech exhibit. And by the way, there's another American photographer, Tom Hussey. If you put that into Google, Tom Hussey Reflections, you'll find another variant. He has photographed Centenarian people over 100 looking at themselves in mirrors, but what comes back is a picture of them as a young person.
Yeah.
So a lot of Photoshop in that.
Oh my gosh.
But anyway, the third part of our thing would be online, perhaps at the village website, and with links to the channel, to the television interviews, which would probably be on YouTube.
Well, I can't wait to see it all. It's congratulations to you all for a wonderful concept and great execution of it. I know a whole lot of work has gone into this, and I think that we are all the richer for these centenarians who live among us, and for those of you who have made their lives more accessible to us. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Tom.
Very welcome.